Oh, hello, everyone. The many people who are here.
Yeah, can you hear us first of all?
Yes, if you can hear us, please indicate, because we have no idea if you can. So look. Yeah? Probably fine. Here, I have a button. Oh, I can hear it playing upstairs, so it's definitely working. That's
Okay,
good.
good. Right, introductions first of all.
So
Otherwise,
I'm Daniel Sell. I wrote Troika, and
I'm Andrew Walter. I'm the illustrator and general art guy, grumpy games metal guy at Melsonia. Yeah,
it's pretty accurate. So yeah, this is the first Melsonia Chat thing. We thought we would, talk to people, since we spend most of our time indoors hiding from everyone.
not hiding, working.
Yeah, working. I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that's why we work, to hide. So please feel free to leave comments. We have someone monitoring the chat. We're very professional, and we might even answer things. So we have questions which people graciously left us, which we will get to at the end after we talk about all the lovely new things that happen in books and whatnot. So the first thing is we have a lot of books coming out soon, and we thought we would talk about them here because it's much easier than writing blog posts. You may have been even involved in one of them, which is the Troika softback. I'm too excited. This is a dummy one we made, but this is roughly how it's going to look. It's going to have fold out map in the front. It's a Swiss line, those who are into that kind of thing. So everything folds out. It's very, very posh. These are on the way.
Not too posh.
Well, it's posh for me.
Well, part of the idea though was to make it's something that you can just sort of chuck in your bag and just go to game tonight and just be ready to play, right? So it's not hardback, it's softback. It's the kind of thing shouldn't be afraid to write in, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's posh in the same way reclusive is posh.
Yeah,
which is scrappy and will probably last forever.
Yeah.
Swiss binding, by the way, is brutally tough. So that's what we're going.
I had no idea what it was until you told me.
Because it's so simple. It's just a block of the pages glued to a sheet of paper, and that sheet of paper protects the bits inside. There's nothing to break.
Yeah, it's like an upgraded folio, essentially. Right? It's kind of a folder with the book signatures sandwiched in the middle. The actual text is the same as, the Troika Numinous edition. I believe a couple of tweaks.
Well, yeah, I fixed some of the persistent editing issues, and we've got art as well, obviously.
Yeah,
the text is basically the same.
So we did all new art for it. It's all monochrome black and white art, and we kind of had an attempt to. We didn't want to strictly illustrate each background like in the Numinous edition of Troika. We were trying to give a more general scattershot feel about what Troika could be. So it's not necessarily. I guess it's slightly less prescriptive than the Numinous edition, and it's also a bit of a tribute to advanced fighting fantasy and that kind of feel with the monochrome text on kind of pulp and paste and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did specifically request the printer to give us the pulpiest paper they have.
Yeah,
which was very difficult, and I hope everyone appreciates the lengths we've got. It's scrappy.
Yeah, and it has more images of things and people getting stabbed in the last one as well.
I mean, I suppose that was also answering the original like things in context,
not stabbing.
Well, yes, stabbings obviously are.
They're important.
It's like they're a very integral part of any game.
It's prime role-playing game for
stabbings, especially like surprise stabbings. That's the one. And one of the questions which we can actually add in here was any news on the new Troika edition shipping. Yes, I have been complained at by the shipping company twice now, and so that means they have it, and it will be here soon. Hopefully this week. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, I want to get my hands on a copy, which means I'm going to have to come around here again to get one. But that's fine.
It's a joy.
Yeah,
it's a joy. So it's a Troika softback. It's Troika again. It's going to be cheaper. It'll be, I think, a more interesting binding. And that's it. It would be nice. Benighted Betrothal was a Kickstarter we had not long ago, which edition of D&D? It's
for
BX, isn't it? Yeah, BX D&D thing, which we hope to do more of again. I mean, we did that with Reclusive, and Swamp, obviously, and my grandpa, and we want to circle back round to do it. Dungeons and Dragons. You know, the cool editions of Dungeons and Dragons are cool.
Yeah, old school D&D is good.
Proper
There'll be more, proper D&D. We need to reclaim the word D&D.
Yeah, like the real D&D, not the pretend one.
Yeah. So there will be more old school D&D stuff in the future down the line.
Yeah.
But that's not even part of the announcement of books we have here.
No,
There's so many books here that's not even part of these ones.
So I mean, in general terms, we hope to. We're not going to stick to one type of D&D specifically, but we will be specific in each book that we do. So we will say what kind of D&D you should be playing this with.
Yeah, broadly. I mean, obviously, the good thing about kind of OSR, D&D, and oh right, look at the camera. Sorry. The good thing about old school D&D and OSR role playing is that it is broadly compatible, obviously, but we're going to make an effort to actually indicate, broadly which edition it will be for. Will it be basic, expert? Will it be OD&D? Will it be for something like Osric or like quasi first edition and stuff? How would you describe Benighted Betrothal in terms of the actual adventure itself?
Benighted Betrothal is a very modest, in a good way, like Dungeons and Dragons BX adventure.
But with a Viking theme.
Yeah,
marital twist.
Viking theme. Yeah, like you're passing through or invited to a wedding, and that wedding has problems with a witch and a dragon and all that kind of good stuff, and you are convinced to help out. It's refreshingly normal.
Oh, as normal as Melsonia.
Yeah, it's like we're doing fundamentals.
He's got art by LFOSR as well, which a lot of you probably know. So he's like got a very distinct style, published loads of cool stuff. I always forget where they are based, but somewhere in America, I think, like everyone is apart from us. But it's older images from before they kind of settled on the current style, I think, but it still has that cool kind of I don't know how you describe it. It's like gritty, almost like photocopied.
Yeah, like a dot matrix.
Yeah, or Xerox if you're in the right thing. So it's kind of it's very unique looking. It's cool.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Like we've had a run of just obscenely meaty books, and it's nice to get something that's tight and concise and to the point again, I think. Because none of the things coming after this,
I was about to say,
none of the things we're going to talk about after this are. So appreciate Benighted Betrothal while you can.
So, do you want to talk about Slate and Chalcedony?
Yes. That's a book I wrote, which had a map by Cecil Howe. I'm sure he's doing crazy. And
hi Cecil.
Hi Cecil. I hope you're out there, Cecil. I hope you're doing well. He's not dead. I'm just being nice. Yeah. So Slate and Chalcedony is a Wizard Tower adventure, and also it's going back to getting back to my roots of what do you call it? Surprising body horror, I guess.
Yeah,
it's not in your face body horror. I mean, all the time. It's more like a surprise body horror. That's the way I think.
Yeah, but not even necessarily. So when you say the word body horror, that kind of implies that it's all
lots of apertures, and
I guess body horror implies it's all sort of like grim in your face all the time.
No, it's not grim. It's joyful. It's like okay. It's not body horror in kind of this decaying, like a gradual decline kind of way. It's more body horror in this exuberant, surplus of body horror.
How much can we talk about without spoiling it? In terms of the actual. So it's 2 towers.
Loads. Let's do loads.
It's 2 towers,
All of it.
not those 2 towers.
No, different 2 towers.
Different 2 towers.
No Saurons, no nothing like that.
So as an out, so the illustrations in this one are from me. So based on my initial reading, the first thing that struck me is it reminded me of the Elric story with the living tower.
It's legally distinct.
Yes, legally distinct, but it's got that kind of journeying through a bio dungeon or bio environment type feel, if you like. The actual map by Cecil is in elevation, so it's 2 separate towers, fully in elevation with various interconnecting ways to get across, and a lot of rooms. So I think, what is it like? Something, maybe not. I don't think it's as many as 90, but it's definitely like.
One of them has about 50 rooms, the other one has less.
Yeah, I think probably about 75 rooms across the 2 towers. So you can climb on top of the towers, go all the way to the top. There's there's interconnected ways to get across both of them. The general vibe of it is this probably won't mean much to people that haven't experienced advanced fighting fantasy or fighting fantasy. The later period fighting fantasy books in the 50s or so, like Legends of Zagor and that kind of thing, had a really weird streak of sort of H.R. Giger-esque kind of stuff woven in amongst the guys wearing helmets type fantasy.
I think that is arguably the difference between like the American and British idea of this. Like if you think about Workshop and you think about that kind of stuff, it is the too much like.
Yeah, it's very spongy and kind of like
cancerous.
Squelchy and cancerous. Yeah, there's a lot of pulsating kind of stuff in it. Maybe horror is correct, but anyway, it's good. If anyone saw on my Instagram today, I put the image up of a guy getting his forehead chopped open by an axe wielding orangutan.
Oh yes, right.
That's from this book, which people seem to like. Really, one of my most popular images. People seem to dig the ape.
It's my innovative use of ape.
Yeah,
everything they do.
Maybe, yeah.
Because everything must have 8 men. None of them had wings yet, though. That's something I haven't explored.
Well, there's still time.
So
yeah, it's hyper color. It's sort of low key, violent, a lot of fun. I really want to get my hands on a copy of this. In play testing, it kind of freaks people out quite a lot.
But importantly, it's not grim.
It depends on your standards for grimness, but it will gross some people out. I think
some people are scared of roller coasters. It's like they're a fun, life affirming activity.
Yeah.
Life affirming is what slate Chalcedony is.
Yeah.
And it will teach us all how to say Chalcedony. I didn't know until I decided to call it.
I barely even knew what it was. It's like porphyry. It's one of those words you see in sword and sorcery novels, and you're like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're obsessed with Chalcedony.
Yes.
I always said Chalcedony.
It's the stone that looks a bit like king cake, basically.
Yeah, I guess
or
so.
trifle.
Yeah. There you go. We're all learning.
Yeah. Yes, that's what's happening. Yeah.
it's a learning moment.
Yeah.
Anything else on slate Chalcedony?
I don't think so. I'm really excited for it to come out.
I think it'd be cool. And we're not going to have a Kickstarter, importantly. There's no Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So
pre-order only.
So everyone who watches this, don't make me regret it.
Yeah, buy it.
Because there's going to be a pre-order and maybe some kind of bribe involved. But
we're trying to put out some stuff which is kind of self-contained, compact, and doesn't rely on a massive month-long Kickstarter build-up because
it's exhausting for everyone.
It exhausts everyone. It exhausts people that are actually taking part in the Kickstarter. It exhausts people that are putting money towards it. It's just
dirty. I mean, it's dirty.
It's an essential part of role-playing game business.
Yeah, it has to be done. Yeah.
But it'd be good to put out some smaller stuff. So that one's going to be pre-order only.
So
buy it.
Don't make me regret it.
Yeah. And also, so is the next one on the list, right?
Yeah.
We think.
Get it at Sutlers. Yep. That's another one, maybe. Get it at Sutlers. And it is Is it an adventure?
I think it's
an adventure.
70% toolkit, 30% adventure, maybe. But hopefully, it's the kind of thing you'll look at and immediately think, I want to use this in an adventure.
Like, I hope it's the kind of thing that when people get hold of it, it's an obvious thing that they either know they can or will not use, and that way, if they decide to buy it, it'll be. They won't get it and think like, "Nah, this is never going to be used." But what it is, Get It at Sutlers is, it is a system by which your players can get a job at a fishmonger's in a very large, possibly infinite, however you please, department store in Troika called Sutlers.
Do they call them department stores in America? They do, don't
What
they?
do you call like this? I think the original word is department store.
Yeah. So it's not like shopping centre mall. It's a department store with all the kind of
Phrases.
snobby high end vibe
Yeah,
that has in that place.
Tourists go to it.
Yeah.
The natives are just like, ugh.
So if you were coming to Troika City from one of the spheres, then the idea is that you've got to go to Sutlers. It's one of the things you've got to tick off the list, even though it's very dangerous. And there's a lot of, even if you're not using the material where your players are getting a job, I mean, that's a lot of it, but there's so much stuff in there that can be used to just do adventures within
it gives you the shape of it. And it also, I think the other thing is that it gives you a clear idea of how you could make your own other departments. Like, doesn't have to be all fish based. I just chose to be fish based because I think the most fun thing when you're doing giant books, it is a gigantic book, is to hyper focus and push through the point where you run out of like easily accessible ideas and you got to really reach. And that's when the good stuff happens, which I hope is what Sutlers is mostly, because how many possible events are
Shitloads. Sorry, there's a lot.
Multiple hundreds of decently chunky things that can happen during a day. I mean, basically, what would happen is there is a small adventure where the player or players can optionally go for an interview and like a trial day where a set thing will happen that gets everyone into the kind of the swing of what work in there is going to be like. And afterwards, the players can just like pick up a shift here and there, and depending on what day of the week. Oh, it also has a Troican calendar in there, so you know what days of the week are in Troika. Very specific. And there's 5 days of the week, and that is 6. I can't remember. It's non-negotiable, whatever it is. It's very important. And you work them. Different days are obviously busy, like Saturdays and whatnot. But there's no Saturdays, of course, because they're way cooler than that. And you roll on the set kind of busyness level, and that generates something that will happen, like a customer. It could be nothing. It could just be that your players decide to go and work a day, and all that happens is you tell them, like, oh, you met this person who's got a fun hat or whatever. Just something completely not very interesting. Or it could be a massive fight breaks out, or they earn loads of money, or they get an invitation to some kind of adventure or something. Which is another thing, is that as events are used, it's also assumed that the GM will replace them, and you can just insert stuff in there that you can randomly get pulled out at some point.
Yeah, the whole field with Sutlers for me, so looking at Dan's writing, is definitely aiming at that kind of fractal way of making a game product. So the more you roll on the table, the more you get prep given to you as like a referee. So stuff keeps coming. It should ideally just keep making you have side adventures and things like that. I think it's also really good in that so one thing people have asked a lot about is they want more detail on the city of Troika.
Oh, there's a lot of detail on it.
Yeah. So even aside from the holidays and stuff like that and the holy days, a lot of it is in this. Days. So there will be, if you want adventures within Troika, this would be, I mean, the Blamongen Thistle that's in the back of...
still in the back as well.
Still in the back of the new... yeah, so Blamongen Thistle, new map for the Blamongen Thistle, and then new soft pack, by the way. But the Blamongen Thistle is often used by people, I think, as their starting point for their Troika campaign. So I think this will do that, but more, basically. There'll be a lot more there.
Yeah. I mean, like a perfect thing would be to go from the Blamongen Thistle to like, oh, it's a pamphlet to get a job, so I guess that's a way. I mean, that's how you'd learn a new city, wouldn't it? You'd get a job in some horrible thing.
Yeah. The other thing, can we talk about Should we talk about Tony?
Yeah, go on. You can do that. That's it.
Okay. Well,
Select it.
I've done some of the artwork, or most of the artwork for the Get It Settlers book, which is coming out. And next time we do this, we should have an actual preview of the artwork.
Will work.
But we have also got a couple of bits of art from Tony Huff, or is it Hal? I think it's Huff.
Sorry, Tony.
Tony Huff, who worked at the Games Workshop. Most notably, he's very famous for doing a lot of illustrations of the Gene Stealer cults and things like that.
Just the Primarch is obviously the
That's the iconic Tony
one.
Huff.
Gene Stealer Primarch
He's-
is like sitting on his throne.
So we've been working with Tony since Dragon Meet last year.
Mhm.
He's done a couple of other bits for us, but we recently saw a couple of full-page illustrations, full-page black and white illustrations for Get It Settlers, and they are
So
like
good. He unsurprisingly nailed it. I mean, because in fairness, we grew up with his work, and we've probably stolen a lot from him.
don't give it away.
But we just so I think it's only fair we give him a cut. I think that's really what it is at this point. So we have to give him something.
He's been really great to work with, and I think just that feel of just when you work with someone that's making art with you or for you, and then you're like, oh, they've read all the material, and they want to make stuff for it. So it's like, okay, great.
He's incredible.
So maybe next time we do this, we can show a preview, but they're just incredibly detailed. Like I was looking at one for 5 minutes the other day, and I kept seeing stuff on there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good, I think.
He's I mean, he's doing 4 full-page illustrations. 2 of them we've got so far, and he leaves nothing to the imagination. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like he has explicitly described what Troika looks like, and I fully endorse his interpretation.
Yeah, if you're ever worried, if you feel like a lot of art you see in modern RPG books is a bit too vague and not kind of like precise enough, Tony has illustrated a multi-dimensional department store for us.
Yep, accurately, no complaints. Like, yeah, obviously, yeah, you look at it and like, yep, I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Sutlers.
Yep.
Also not going to be on Kickstarter. Pre-order only.
Pre-order only.
So buy it.
Buy it.
Fever Swamp.
Yeah.
Reprint.
Being reprinted.
Remastered.
Slightly. I can't remember exactly what Luke is changing.
So
adding, because you were illustrating.
Yeah. So Fever Swamp by Luke Gearing. This is the old version of the.
Which is very valuable now. Sell it before the new one comes out.
Apparently valuable. Yeah. Fever Swamp has been given a remaster by Luke Gearing, in that it's going to be explicitly for original Dungeons and Dragons, so 1974 style D&D, and their modern simulacra. And it's got a bunch of new stuff in it. So it's got another dungeon in it as well. The rules for travel have been slightly tweaked as well to make navigating the grimy watercourses of Fever Swamp more kind of granular, more tactical, I suppose. And it's got all new artwork again from me. It's going to be, I guess, I don't know how to describe the tone of the new artwork. It's more grim, I suppose.
Also more humorous, I think. Well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's definitely
it's an inclination we've gone with.
There's still some humor in there. Yeah.
I mean, the you may have seen the previews of it. We have put around with the frog. If you've seen it, you might remember it.
The dredger giant. Yeah, pulling the frog tongue apart.
The actual worst, most horrifying thing.
That's cruelty to animals.
Yes, like frogs don't count.
Yeah,
they don't.
So that will be on Kickstarter. So for anyone that doesn't know what Fever Swamp is a swamp crawl overland adventure set on the fringes of what is called the Niflbergian Empire. So it's quite open-ended. There's treasure to find. There is heavy emphasis on the environment that you're crawling through. So leaky boats, scarce rations, diseases is a big part of it as well. It's not a very nice place to be. I don't know if this was intended when Luke was writing it, but some of it reminds me of the Werner Herzog film Maguire, The Wrath of God, in that
I've never seen it.
there's like an opening scene in it, which is it's Spanish conquistadors, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they are wearing way too heavy armor, and there's kind of insects everywhere. The undergrowth is just kind of always like whack them in the face. They shouldn't be there, basically. So it kind of has that feel. I ran some of the new material at Dragon Meet this year as a playtest, and it was really fun. Quite grim, as you'd expect, but yeah, again, there was some humour to it as well.
Yeah.
Very proud of the artwork I've done for this one. I think it's got a quite 80s feel for some of the colours in it.
Yeah.
in
Oh,
terms
the
of-
intense.
yeah, it's quite intense and quite hyper saturated, but it's going to be good. I think. So that one is going on Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a projected date for it yet, though.
Later this year.
Just okay. So from behind the scenes, just later.
Just consulting out
when it's done.
Stuff behind the
camera. But it is. I mean, the writing is complete. The art's complete. It needs layout. All of the there's a lot of extras that we want to include in the Kickstarter as well.
Yep.
So quality of life things such as diagrams for your boat, so you can indicate where you will be, where you place your henchmen where they're rowing and stuff like that, as well as counters for the kind of big sprawling party of player characters and henchmen that you get in OD&D and older rule sets. So hopefully something you can use in any old school D&D type game, basically. Anything else about Fever Swarm?
It won an Emmy.
It did. It did. If you care about such things, then yes, it did win an Emmy, which is why you always call me Emmy award-winning illustrator, which pisses me right off. Yeah. But that's fine. It did win an Emmy. I don't think you can win it twice for a new reprint.
Oh, you can.
If they're even, are they still going?
Yeah, the Emmys happen.
Do they?
Yeah,
does anyone care about them? No?
Some of us. I mean, there's an audience.
If the Emmys board are watching, I don't mean to sound harsh.
Please give another Emmy.
Please, it'd be great.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've personally never won an Emmy, and I think that's really rude. So
you should try harder.
Yeah, Emmy. Just give me one. It's a bloody medal. One. Anyway, next book. Witch War for Koa's Promise.
Witch War for Koa's Promise by Ezra Clavery
of Crypt of Endormancy fame.
So Ezra wrote the somewhat notorious, infamous Crypt of Endormancy.
Our first published book.
The first one. Yeah. Okay. So Crypt of Endormancy. We're not talking about that, but we are talking about Ezra. But Ezra is one of the few people writing the role-playing game scene at the moment that I think he is entirely resistant to trends of any kind.
Yeah, no, they just bounce off of them.
He will write what he wants to, and
at length.
At length, yep. This is so. Crypt of Endormancy was a fairly big book. Witch War is an immense book.
Well, it's not a book, is it? Probably. Maybe. Well, we can't promise anything, but.
So, Witch War for Koa's Promise is. I mean, how would you describe the setting?
I mean, if you've read Crypt of Endormancy, which of course you have, it is a fictional kind of interpretation of 18th century Pacific Islands, where the elves are these ex-colonial forces and the players and the good guys are the island people.
Yeah, the elves definitely cast their shadow over the setting. They're very, very far from your Tolkien elves. I mean, I guess they're a little bit similar to your Melnibonean kind of Elric types.
Very, very,
but perhaps more science. So they're totally morality free. They are bent on colonialism, but crucially, they're now not entirely gone, but they're fading. They're fading. So it's kind of like this archipelago type situation with elven science fantasy ruins in conflict with the indigenous people of the islands. And Witch War is a very, very kind of deep delve into that in terms of the culture of the indigenous people, in terms of the way witchcraft plays a part as well. It's essentially a setting, 3 big adventures,
Huge.
and a bestiary. So when I first saw the manuscript for this, I'm not ashamed to say I panicked a little bit.
Like, I can't draw that
in terms of illustrations. So there's going to be a lot of work, but having read through it all recently, it's something we're both really excited about. I think it's going to give me the opportunity to draw a lot of really, really horrible shit.
The witchcraft in this is like that. Yeah, that kind of witchcraft.
It's unpleasant, basically.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. You will. There's access to different witches' powers in here. I mean, primarily. Well, there's also we talk about the witch crawl as well. So there's whole mechanics built into it for
to play the crucible.
Yeah, witch finding hysteria and that sort of thing. And that's without even touching the 3 adventures themselves, which are very, very location based. This is not your light touch kind of bullet pointed descriptive terms. 75 words per room. This is like dense.
Yeah, you will
old school role playing products.
Code.
When you read through Witch War, you will have taken a trip through it, basically.
It's kind of like a Dark Sun kind of box set, a PSR thing, isn't it? Just like this pile of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, well, we should talk about the plans for it in terms of plans. Ideally, we would like it to be a box set.
Yeah.
So we're thinking possibly 5 books in the box set and a big pile of maps. Right?
Yeah, and we're talking about box set as in with a lid.
Yeah.
Not a pretend sleeve. That's not a box set. Don't lie to me. That's a lid.
Yeah. And again, and system wise, so this will be also for old school D&D. We don't really want to make any announcements about system as such just yet, but
we're nailing it down because Ezra's got his own peculiarities with D&D, and we're just trying to make it accessible because it is very not accessible for the most part. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to get into it.
It'll be closer to your kind of advanced fantasy type stuff with, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but think advanced rather than your very kind of rules type.
Oh yeah, this is meaty.
And it's not a game in itself. It is definitely a setting box set for use with your kind of old school game or old school simulacrum, basically.
Yeah, and close on islands, you can just have it. Put it far away.
Yeah, it should be fairly modular as well. Yeah,
be able to do that.
It's going to be good. So we should hopefully before too much longer we should have some. We'll post up some illustration teasers for that. Hopefully it won't offend people.
No, it'll be just keep your children away.
It's not for children. Definitely not for children.
It's not for me. It's too scary.
Yeah.
The witches are
too scary for Dan.
Too scary for Dan. Yeah. So we have other books, but we're not going to talk about those yet because we can't make any promises about when they'll come. Which I could say probably within 12 months, maybe.
You just had a whisper from off stage again.
I don't promise anything.
At some point in the future.
Before 2025, maybe. Yes. It's written. So, I mean, we don't have an excuse.
It's all fully written. Yeah. Just needs some poor fucker to illustrate it, though.
I guess this is the list of books that can't possibly not come out for unforeseen reasons. There you go.
Yeah.
There are other things, but we won't. Yeah, no, we won't. There are other things. There are a few things that are coming out that will remain a surprise.
Don't talk about that.
Not yet. Secret. It's going to be a surprise. You'll love it.
Should we talk about this submissions project we're doing? Troika modules.
We want books.
Yeah.
From you.
We want you to submit your adventures for Troika. Okay? So we're not tired of writing them. We're always up for writing more. In fact, we are writing some for these ones. But the idea is that there is a lot of stuff out there for Troika. We want to kind of gather together some of your creativity and actually put out some books which have actually got some kind of meat on the bones sort of thing. So We don't have a title for this project yet. One to 5.
1 to 5 ratio.
The 1 to 5 project.
If you have a better name, please do tell us. We're out of names. We've used them all up.
Essentially, they are third-party, extremely usable small adventures for Troika. So they'll be curated by us, and they're kind of an attempt to highlight the cool Troika writers out there and help them feel a bit less like they're part of the third party and actually bring them to Melsonia and second party, I guess, yeah. And we will, so roughly around 5,000 words is the plan behind it.
Less than. Specifically, 5,000 or less, not 5,001.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing here, which might be, people might hear this and be like, oh, okay, then why are they asking this is something, we don't want your submission to contain new character backgrounds, right? So these are adventures, location-based adventures, right? So we've got 2 of them in the works. We're writing 2 each. Can't be a hack of Troika, using Troika as a base. It has to be an adventure using the Troika rule set. House ruling is fine if you want to include that, okay? But they are Troika adventures. So the idea being that by the end of this project, whatever that is in the far future, we have a whole set of modular adventures that people can use to run Troika, location-based, rather than hacks of or other games based on Troika, basically. How would you describe them? Like, how do you visualize what we're looking for from people here?
We want adventures. We want meaty but not gigantic adventures in that focus on cool and usable fantasy things.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just read the bullet points.
Yeah, but I mean, when we say usable, I mean, that's something that needs to be qualified, I think, because that gets thrown around too much.
Well, what would be the opposite? What don't we want?
Inspirational would be the opposite of usable. Inspirational, totally valuable. I'm all for it. But this is a very specific project for a specific game. This is not a blanket kind of definition of what a game should be. This is just what this should be. So usable in as much as you give it to someone, they can be like, okay, I'm going to go run this next week, and they know what they're doing, and it will have kind of a repeatable outcome. Like someone, if many people run the game, they'll have a similar-ish.
No, you're standardizing it. Huh? Tournament ready.
Yeah, tournament modules. I mean, yeah, something like that.
No. I mean, I guess, yeah. I think it has to be something that you can give to someone, they can read through it and run it. It's not a toolbox in the sense of here's 15 random tables of what you might find in this district of Troika. It is actually an adventure that takes place in Troika City or nearby to Troika City, and if you run it, then you'll get between 1 to 3 sessions of gaming out of it, basically.
Yeah.
It's something you don't have to do as much work. You read it, you prep it, you run it.
It's a book you'd have at your table while you're running the game. Okay, yes, this is what's in this room. That kind of thing.
It's got maps, it's got locations, it's got NPCs, it's got enemies, and the bullet point I was going to read is cool fantasy shit first, trademarked.
Yeah.
No meta, ironic, cutesy, or conceptual art vibes.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
I suppose what we're saying is we're curbing our what do we call it? Our aspiration. We're keeping it nice and level, and we're trying to get adventures.
Well, yeah. I mean that will hopefully. I think there's a lot of people out there writing cool stuff for Troika, and I think these creative constraints will get us a set of stuff together, which is going to be awesome. Basically,
it'll be cool.
It could be the sort of thing run as linked together as a campaign, or keep them separate, or whatever. So, could be a dungeon, could be a point crawl, could be an overland hex crawl, or anything like that.
In a shop.
Could be working in a shop,
but don't steal it. It's my idea.
But what we want is a a draft submitted.
Mhm.
So where are we gonna put the link for people to
We'll
click on
put
this?
it in YouTube somewhere.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it's on the shop already. If you look at the little web pages drop down, there's the 5-to-1 project, which has all these details as well.
So check the links on whatever you're watching this on. Check the Discord, Melsonia Arts Council Discord. Check Instagram. Check all the usual places, and there'll be a link to that soon-ish. Artwork's going to be supplied by me or
Andrew
Julie
or Shuyi, who did Fungi the Firearms
and Wengal Instrumentality.
Wengal Instrumentality, yeah.
So we will also want to make this kind of easy for you as well. It's going to be something that you pass us the work, and then we work with you to make it look like what you want to as well. Essentially, we're going to have a kind of unified look to them in terms of the covers, but we will help illustrate whatever you write.
Yep. We'll be in contact. We won't just take it from you and be like, "This is your art."
Yeah,
there'll be some back and forth.
And the actual contractual agreements with it and stuff, you can see them on the website when we post the links.
We have an arrangement that you can everything's very upfront. There's nothing. There'll be no surprises. And if we drop dead, all the rights revert back to you. So when we get bought by Hasbro for £1 million, you get your book back.
And Hasbro Killers.
And Hasbro,
they would do that. So that's the 1 to 5 project. We need to find a better title for it, but essentially,
really, we do.
The bottom line is we are open for submissions for it. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah,
send them over. It'll be great.
So yeah, I mean, we're not. I suppose like we're not technically we're not aiming for people who are like super established and know what they're doing and whatnot, because they've probably got their own thing going on. But I mean, maybe this will also be a starting point for just getting your stuff out there as well, because we'll be handling everything other than the writing. We'll do the editing, the layout, the art, the fulfillment, and all the other horrible things we have to do to get books in my hand.
And yeah, I mean, if it's good, then we'll publish it basically.
And I think we did touch on it, but it specifically needs to be either in or at least involving Troika intimately. Mainly because not just because that's one of the constraints we've decided upon. And if your book's really good, you will inadvertently decide what is Troican canon, and I can't stop you.
Yeah,
that'll just be it.
Well, that's Troika for you as a city.
Right? Yeah, I mean, as much as I will ignore it, it will take over. It will win.
Anything else to say about that? I think that covers most of it. But if you do have any questions, just ask us on Discord, email us, send us a thing on Instagram.
Obviously, you get paid for this. We didn't mention that. You do get money for this. We're not just saying give us your stuff and we'll just have it. Thank you.
We're not preying on you. You're getting paid.
Yeah, you're getting paid. It's there's an arrangement. Look on the website. It's
Okay. I guess the next thing is sort of linked in the sense that it's to do with community.
Yes, we have another. This over there. Got the list of things we've been given our orders. We have to because we're not directly managing it ourselves on most things. There's our dear community manager Jared is handling it, but we're doing a organised play because one of the main things I see is people being like, "Oh, I love Troika. I wish I could find someone to play it with." Well, we're going to find people for you to play it with, and that is the crystal spheres.
Yeah, we've had. I mean, especially in the last couple of months, there's actually a lot of people new to the game who are saying, "I'd love to try it. But I can't find anyone to play with." So we thought we would kind of centralize that in one place, and there'll be organised play events using Troika, which are going to be run through the Melsonia Arts Council Discord.
Yep.
So if you want to run Troika, then this will be a place for you to do it. Likewise, if you want to play Troika, this will be somewhere for you to hook up with people, and then you can play it via this as well. What's the main details we need to tell people about this?
Well, okay, so anyone can play. There is the one wrinkle that people may not be familiar with, although it is getting more and more common, is it's got a paid ticketing thing. 100% of the money minus whatever fees the platforms take goes to the GM. We take nothing. There is no financial interest in this from us, other than obviously you play games and buy more of our books, which I hope you do. The GMs set their price in. The GMs set everything,
and the price, if you want, can be zero.
Yes, the GMs can set it at zero, but I mean, there's still tickets. You pay zero for the ticket, so they know you're going to come, and then we know there's accountability.
Yeah.
It's because obviously as we're overseeing the interaction of people, we have to make sure no weird, unpleasant things happen. So we have very clear expectations of the GMs. We have clear understanding of what is expected of the players. It's nothing unreasonable. I mean, if you've been out in polite society, you'll be fine.
Yeah, if you've run or played a game at a convention, then this will be exactly the same set of, you know, I don't even want to call them rules because they're not. They're guidelines, basically.
Just
common sense stuff that
don't be a staggeringly awful human being.
Don't be a prick,
fine.
basically.
Don't be a prick. Yeah. There's slightly more things for the GMs because obviously, if some kind of sneaky monster gets through, there'll be issues, but we'll avoid that. But yeah, if you want a GM, go on the Discord, contact a mod, specifically Jared if you want that, and he will tell you instantly. It's nothing too much. You'll just say you'll have to speak to them. There's some kind of reporting you need to do, but otherwise, it's nice and straightforward.
We'll start there'll be a separate Discord channel for all of this on the Melsonia Arts Council Discord. Yesterday when I looked, there was 2 games. This morning when I looked, there's around 8. So the games are piling on already. There's going to be a lot.
And most of the people running them right now are like indie RPG darlings, so make the most of it.
Yeah, there's some cool
we
stuff.
might even run one sometime. I probably might.
I will run a game at some point down the line.
That's a treat.
It's coming up soon anyway.
So if you want to look at all this information that we're going over, go to crystalspheres.card with 2 R's.co. That'll have everything.
Yeah.
The games are very low commitment. You don't need to sign up for a whole campaign. You can sign up for a game here or there. That's fine. All the games currently are Troika. In future, we might expand it, but like for now, whatever. The GMs, to be clear, we have at the very least, we know who they are. There's no anonymous strangers. We know who these GMs are, and they cause you any trouble, you tell us, and we'll turn them off.
But that won't happen.
It won't happen. Like these are all people we know fairly well right now, so you're safe. You can sign up for any games you like. You can buy multiple tickets. If you want to bring your friends, just buy a bunch of tickets for a game, and you can all turn up and have fun. Talk to Jared if you want to be a GM. And all of the games are happening on the Discord server. Of course, like this isn't like eBay or something. If you want to take your games offline, then please do. Like if you want to have your own games in the exact same group with no tickets or oversight or anything, please do. That's brilliant. It's just while you're playing games in our back room, we'll look after you.
So you'll see more information about this kind of trickling through over the next few weeks, but essentially you won't be able to miss it. There'll be links. There'll be links pointing you to the right place, and there should be a whole whack of games going up there soon. So if you are someone that's just bought the Troika book and you're kind of struggling to find someone to play with locally, or you've got a great idea for a Troika game or a Troika hack that you've not been able to find players for, then this might be the thing for you to look out for. So it should be good.
I mean, and it's not. I mean, it's not a bad little side thing. If you've got a really cool game that you can repeatedly do, then being a pro GM is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting thing to see what kind of stuff people run on it. There's a lot of stuff. If you've not played Troika online before, there's a lot of really useful tools already. So David's put his Troika initiative tracker online, so all of that stuff is kind of handled for you if you need to. It's because of the nature of Troika, it's very easy to run online as well. So
all the games have information on them. You can look on. There's links. Go to the card site, and they'll take you to the ticketing place where you can see all the details of all the games. They'll usually have a photo of the GM. You get to know, and it also explains a lot of them are very new person friendly. You can turn up with characters you already have, new characters. It depends on the game, but it's like it should be nice and smooth.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'd be
I'll
cool.
definitely be playing some of them, and I will run some as well at some point. So,
and I will listen to how it goes.
whatever, man. You gotta play in or run something. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we do some audience questions?
Yeah, but that's all we have. I think that's all we have going on businessy wise that's pertinent to the public.
I think I can see someone waggling their finger at some dice over here.
That's the question. Yeah, I have those. Mike, can you see us on camera?
Right. Well, one question we've had is possible preview of the Troika dice that have been part of the softback Kickstarter.
We have them.
Here they are, and yes, they are
D6.
12-sided D6s, which I'm sure is going to outrage someone, but it's not exactly hard to find D6s. So use these for your character creation or special moments, or use them for every roll in Troika if you like.
Yeah, I would.
Weird. They roll in the hand nicely. They're about golf ball size.
You could hurt some of those.
Don't hurt someone with them. We don't condone that. They have the Troika logo on one of the ones.
Yep, just as a compromise.
And Troika T. I don't know if you can see that or not. But those are the Troika dice that are part of the softback Kickstarter. So some people asked for them, and yeah, there they are.
If people really, really want them, because we only made a certain number of these, because dice are kind of difficult to get made, relatively speaking. If you anything other than your basic Chessic stuff, it's quite difficult to get made. But if you really want them, make a noise about it, and we'll print some kind of general availability dice at some point. Just let us know.
That's the dice cupboard.
Yes,
we've got 8 minutes before it's 7 o'clock, so we can get through these. Right?
Oh, and Troika Hollywood blockbuster a la Honor Among Thieves when you say it's sarcasm, but put it this way, like Rifts has been optioned for what 10, 20 years, and they've never made a film. It's not going to happen. Rifts is cool, really cool.
Yeah, I'm pro Rifts. I've never played it, but I'm,
there are people around. It's the moment for roleplay games, and there are people who want to do things, but yes. What's the other one? Let's see. So, if you had to say what was more important, Andrew, would you say design for visual impact and mood, or ease of reading and efficient information layout is important?
If I had to say one thing in designing role-playing books is more important, would I say design for visual impact and mood, or ease of reading and efficient information layout? I don't care. I want to make books with cool shit in them that look cool, but they have to be usable at the table as a game book. I don't really want to make a book that's designed for something. It has to be just it's boring. A good game book.
The design happens after. Design serves the text and the art.
Yeah,
that's it. Any design layout, it's a servile art form.
Very highbrow, very brainy.
That's what it is. It serves, but that's not to say it's unimportant.
I think
a good servant is very bad.
Someone that's got Melsonia books knows we do think about this stuff. It's just we don't think about it first of all. The book has to be good and interesting.
Book first, design later. Design elevates.
Yes, exactly.
So
let me ask you.
Would I say design visual impact or mood? I mean, I think the most important thing is sincerity as well. It's just sincerity, really. Like if you're the most inexperienced and competent designer, artist, writer in the world, but you have just overwhelming sincerity, people will like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone that's been playing games for a while knows this, even if they don't think about it very much. Like, sincerity is the most important thing.
Yes.
And I've said it before. I'll say it again. Fuck irony. Don't want ironic books.
It doesn't work. Like, believe it or not, like Troika is not ironic. Like, it's done with love, and just how you do it. I think.
Okay, moving on. What tool, analog or digital, would you say is underrated for RPG creators?
Still your answer.
No,
pen and paper.
Oh. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Obviously,
it's pen and paper, isn't it?
Or even just paper. I think you don't need.
You can use a pencil. I do a lot.
Well, I the main point is you don't need a computer. You don't just draw a map on paper, write something in a notepad, scroll notes in a notepad. I think anything that can get you away from the endless stream of just cynicism and just manipulation of doing stuff online, or even using kind of electronic tools. I mean, you have to use electronic tools these days. Let's not be too cavalier about it, but that's the underrated thing, is writing stuff down on paper. The amount of stuff you see where people are getting into RPGs, they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure how to start." And the answer is always just start, draw something cool on paper, draw a map. Yeah,
there's an orc.
I think maps is the best thing, really. So paper. That's the answer.
And also another benefit in a world that's increasingly lying to us, you can't get consumed by an AI if you write it down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a certain privacy in doing something just for yourself on paper, and like an honesty to it that I think is really important. So yeah, paper.
And when you die, your children will find it and laugh and think you're weird.
Yeah,
it might get published.
Granddad just endlessly drew square rooms on graph paper. Why?
What's his problem with orcs?
Speaking of orcs, what monster from any game or module would you have loved to have been the brains behind?
The problem with this question is I don't really feel that way about anything. But if I had made the Modrons, I'd probably be quite pleased with myself.
Yeah, Modrons are cool. As long as they're the weird, squishy, like plankton-like ones and not the clockwork ones. I don't know how you feel about that. What's your Modron preference?
I like the clockwork ones. They're cool. I like TV. I like walking. Basically, I like walking TVs with wings. I think they're cool.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think the first edition ones where they're just sort of weird, squidgy, sort of protoplasmic pyramids and stuff. I think that's my preference.
It's also good. I think Modrons are cool. They're nice.
My answer would be the Otyug or Otyug. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Oh, you mean the sewer monster?
The sewer monster. They've got an eye stalk, tentacles, and they live in shit. What's not to love?
Weird choice.
Well, they're just cool. They're very quintessentially old school gaming. They look like something that someone just doodled. They might. I don't know if they were one of the Gary Gygax plastic toy monsters or not.
That would be easy to make, wouldn't it? It's like a blob with a mouth and some tentacles.
Yeah, and they look a bit like something from Trapdoor, but before Trapdoor.
Yeah.
It's a UK TV reference for anyone that's not from the UK. Does Melsonia take submissions for publishing?
Previously covered, yes.
Kind of covered. So that's we want submissions for the 1 to 5 project. We do also take submissions more generally. If you have an idea, send it to us.
Yeah.
We're not so keen on pitches. We prefer stuff that's finished, and we prefer stuff that is, at the moment at least, adventures. We're not as interested in a hack that makes Troika into a new game right now. We never say never. We've got some stuff coming out like that, but adventures. Send them over.
Yeah, we want adventures. So if you've got something smaller than 5,000 words, just make it really good and send it to us and say you must publish this.
And what are some bullet point principles of good Troika background, enemy, and spell design? That's like a four-part question. That is.
Well, I mean, it's. I suppose the question is like the what's like you can apply that to the supplements as well. Like, what is the secret to writing the punchy small Troikas sniblets? Is well, it's they follow like personally, the way I like to approach them is like short stories. People misconstrue that as jokes because short stories, even the most horrible horror short stories, basically kind of sort of jokes. There's it's that kind of building tension, and then there's the release of tension, which makes it cool. But that's what I think is it needs to have a little arc. It needs to give you something a little bit memorable, and it needs to have that kind of release of tension in the end. That kind of just like a little bit of spiciness. I think.
Yeah, I don't feel qualified to answer this question. I mean, I don't think there's nothing specific about Troika that I don't think I'd apply to general writing.
Yeah, I mean, that applies to everything. I wouldn't approach anything differently. I mean, if what you're saying is how do we write things in the same way that Dan wrote them? That's what I'm doing. It's nothing crazy, I guess.
I think it just has to. For me, I would just have one bullet point that would be it makes you want to do more stuff with that item.
Yeah, you want to take it and go off and do stuff.
Yeah, you want to expand and write a little scenario around it. You can actually use the table.
So it's got to have like multi-purpose kind of. It need to be grabby.
Oh, actually, I do have one specific for Georgia. I'm not so keen on skills that are like
Weird.
I don't mind weird, but like hyper specific or like you get sometimes you see skills which people use in their backgrounds. They're very, very specific in a way that feels a bit like an in joke that you're not part of. Which
that's the other thing, right? That's another misinterpretation, which is obviously people are playing Troika wrong, which is very important. You're playing it wrong. It's not. It's like just don't worry about what's wrong about it. What I'm saying is don't just avoid irony and avoid ego. Just be sincere and do something that you think is clever and interesting, and then other people will see what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, just right from your heart. I mean that in a non-ironic way.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it is true. That's why people keep saying it. Yes.
All right, last question, and we can turn this off.
Yes. I'm not that excited.
I'll read this. Yeah, the last one. Thanks for the questions, by the way. We do appreciate these. It shows that people are actually kind of like paying attention and wanted to send stuff in. So, how do I know if a background, spell, or enemy is too wordy in its description? How much brevity is too much? How many darlings can I kill before my hands become so stained with blood the keyboard gets clogged up? I'm not sure what that last bit means, but I quite like the way it's written. Too wordy. I mean, is this just a general? It's quite similar to the last question, I suppose, in some ways.
I think like wordiness doesn't. Look, see Ezra. He is. You could argue that he's wordy. I would disagree. I think like if we're talking wordy in as much as it's like surplus, like there's too much, like there's just. I think that goes back to don't try to be clever. Just try to amuse yourself. Try to tickle yourself so that when you come back in a year or like 5 years and you read it again, and you're like, oh, who wrote this? This is cool, and it was you. That's what you should feel like.
I think Ezra is probably he comes from the Gary Gygax school of things where it's like
just
you want
the landscapes of words.
Yeah, it's maximalist. You want the people that are reading and playing it to feel like they actually are there. I suppose that is kind of. I mean, when it comes to wordiness, I don't know. I tend to associate too much of that with over prescriptive mechanics, maybe.
I mean, I think of late stage TSR.
Yeah.
Word count. That's wordy.
Yeah, the target.
If you need the words and you like them, then screw it. Keep your darlings, whatever. If you think they're good, if you think it really serves it, then keep it. Just just take your chances. Maybe people will hate it, and then you can do another thing later. Keep doing more things.
How much brevity is too much? I think if it looks like you're padding your thing, if it looks more like it's a showcase for your graphic design than it is for the game, I think that's too much brevity. Basically,
yeah,
there needs to be some grit and some meat in there. I mean, this is a whole, probably getting a lot of trouble for this, but it's a whole thing. I've got a bit of a soapbox about kind of the idea of minimalist game design at the moment. But I think that you have to. It just has to not look like it's. Just don't take the piss, basically.
Yeah, just be respectful of people's, time.
Yeah, and
someone's going to read that and they're going to. You want them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't bend over backwards for it. You want them to enjoy the same thing you enjoyed creating.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of fun with, especially older role playing games, is like you've said this many times to me, but it's just cool when you get like a giant pile of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
And then you can use it how you like, but you can't do if someone has presented you with a sort of very austere kind of trimmed back thing that's only got like, I don't know, like a couple of paragraphs on a page and lots and lots of design on it, I suppose.
It can only ever be exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not going to. You won't ever look at it again in 5 years' time and think, "Oh, I never saw that before. I never thought about it that way." So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Just be more like
I'm not. I'm not sure I can condone that, but yeah.
Uncle Kev.
How many darlings can I kill before my hands become so stained with blood that the keyboard gets clogged up?
I mean, they don't have blood, so I think you're right. They're just like words, aren't they? If your words are bleeding, you've got some other problems.
You've got bigger problems. Yeah. All right, cool. I think that's it then, right?
That's the conclusion. Yeah. Write small books for us. Play games. Buy riffs. Conclusions.
Yeah, you can buy riffs if you want. I mean,
buy all of our books first, then buy riffs.
Anything else we need to talk about before we close it down? Or is that?
I think we're good. Unless nope. I'm good. I'm done.
All right. Thanks for watching, and we might do another one of these
sometime soon.
And
if you make us feel really loved, I do one soon.
Yeah.
It's all equal. So
hopefully by now you know where to find us on Discord, Instagram, wherever. Just send us a message, and if you've got any questions, get in touch. That's it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Kill it, Shay. Kill it.